So now keep in mind, this is a collection of parts that are considered premium parts. So they're great for game upgrades or if you're really trying to add some awesome theme to your game. So let's start out with the Premium B. This is a plastic game piece. And, you know, maybe you make a game about a beehive. I've seen games on our site that have those types of themes. So it's a little plastic bee. Next one is our premium gold ingot. And this is made of metal, and it actually has some pretty good weight to it. I'd say it's about as heavy as a standard D6 die, probably a little bit more heavy than that. It has a nice shine to it. And we even have, in our shop, we have these really cool treasure chests, although we might be sold out of these, so hopefully I'm not showing you something we're sold out of. But that these can drop in there, and you know, if you're in a dungeon and you're raiding and then you come to a chest like something like in Gloomhaven, you crack that baby open and hey, we actually have some treasure in there. So those are cool. So that's the premium gold ingot, and it is made out of metal. Next, we have our premium magnifying glass, and this is made out of resin. So while it looks like it's metal, it is just a really nice premium magnifying glass. Next, we have a premium loaf of bread, and it looks pretty good. If you're hungry, this may not be the piece for you, but it looks really cool. The next piece is coal, and this has a really nice shine to it. I'm trying to get a good camera shot with my black gloves, but it has a chunky feel to it. It doesn't feel like metal. It's more of a composite material, composite resin. So it feels kind of like a rock, as it's supposed to feel. That's the premium coal. Now we get into something that's a little cooler for the fantasy theme. This is the premium sealed scroll. And it basically has a lot of detail. You can see the wax stamp on it. Trying to get a good shot there. So if players came upon this in a tower or in a treasure room, they would immediately identify that this was a scroll, a sealed scroll. Let's see, next thing is the premium water bucket. So this is a resin piece. It looks like metal, I'm sure, in the camera. But it is a resin piece. It has the water painted on the top of it, and it has a handle on the side. Again, these are cool types of pieces to have if you're looking for theme. If you're using, maybe the game has resources and you're tracking elements of water, whether that's in buckets or containers. These are the kind of things that your players will appreciate and that you can enjoy too as a game upgrade in games you already own. The next one is one of my favorites. I just love all the detail on it. This is the premium wood, and this thing is super cool. I'm trying to get a good shot on it. It's a log, and it even has a notch and a knot, and you can see all the detail on the top of the piece of wood. And you can see it has the cutouts of the lighter pieces of wood underneath the bark that you can see. The bottom has a little bit of detail. The top is definitely the coolest part of it. So again, this is a great piece for using when say you're dealing with commodity items like wood in a game, because this just gives it so much better texture and just better visuals. Next is the premium yarn ball, And this, again, is resin. It's made out of resin, even though it does look like cloth. And if you're making a game with cats in it, the premium yarn ball could be a good add. Also, again, it's another one of those commodity resources in games. So this would be a way to track different types of yarn or wool. The next one is a premium axe. This is made out of resin, even though it looks metallic-y. It's got a brown handle on it. And let's see if I can show you a better picture here. It's got a little bit of blood on the blade. Looks really good. That would be something that would be really cool if you're in a fantasy or adventure type game and you come upon some scattered weapons in the dungeon or in the castle, and adds really cool theme to the game. The next one we have is a brain. This is a multicolored resin piece. It has a lot of texture to it, a lot of little holes and lines like a brain would have. Next one is a premium brick. So building supplies sort of thing. It has a really cool texture on it. It's not super heavy, but it definitely does feel like a brick. It's very easy to identify. And it's like a maroon color. Now we'll move into something a little more futuristic. We have the premium space crate. And the space crate, it looks like a metallic box. It is made of resin or a composite material, and it has pretty good textures on all the sides. But it's not as heavy as like the metal ingot I showed you earlier. The next one, we're jumping back into kind of the commodity stuff. This is a premium marble tile. So it really is just a piece of white tile. So it feels very legitimate, feels very, expected. It's stone, and it has kind of that gritty feel to it. It works great for tracking things like tile or marble. Then we move along to the premium trash can. Telling you, they make premium parts in just about every category. The premium trash can is a resin piece, and it has kind of a cool texture to it. I like the yellow color, and it has the lid kind of attached and kind of hanging off the edge a little bit. There is no Oscar the Grouch popping out of this one, I'm afraid, but it's a cool piece. And, from a size standpoint, it's about as tall as the 17 millimeter meeple that we carry, that we use as our 4 scale. So that's a cool piece. Then we move on to the premium leather scroll. And this one it's a resin piece, and it has this brown, almost like it's trying to simulate like a leather case with a little buckle that's painted on it. And when you flip it over, you see the strap and the back side of it. Just another one of those really cool thematic parts. I mean, you see this kind of stuff in your role-playing game or your dungeon crawler game. It really adds to it. And it makes it exciting for the players to explore that part of the room or down the hallway where you can see some of the treasures. Next is going to be the premium corn. So for all of you working on that farming game or that already own some farming games, we do have different types of food items, and I'll be pulling up some more here shortly. This is a resin piece. You can kind of see the kernels in there, and then it's wrapped in the green outside of the corn. Moving along to another favorite of mine, perfect for the dungeons and the environmental sort of pieces. This is a premium wood crate, and it has a ton of detail on it. This is one of those pieces that I'm just really impressed that how they can make something so small yet so detailed. You can tell on the top, you can see some nail holes and a couple of crossboards that go across the top. It looks really, it's just great. It looks awesome. And this is one of those things where maybe it's a point of interest when you're in the dungeon and you don't know what's there. And so maybe you put, maybe you put that and you put a couple of other elements in your dungeon laying around. That makes it more interesting for the person to check out the POI. Okay, our next one can go along with the container sort of category. And this one is a premium leather bag. So the leather bag has a ton of detail. You can see the drawstring across the top. And this could also be a point of interest in a role-playing game or dungeon crawler sort of thing. Or it could also be tracked. It could be used as commodities. If you preset what this could be bags of grain. That we do have some other ones that show grain and different types of herbs and things. So that's coming up. But this is a very useful piece if you're trying to track things that normally come in bags. As far as the construction of this one, I believe this is also a resin piece. Yep, it's resin composite, and it's got a good texture to it. It's not overly heavy. It just feels really good in your hand. Moving along to another commodity. These are our premium oil barrels, and these are cool. It's kind of a blue color. And it's a ribbed barrel, and you can see in the top there's a little porthole where they would put the oil into the barrel. It's a really cool piece. All right, I told you there'd be more food coming up. Now that I showed you the barrels of oil, let's move along to, you guessed it, premium steak. Sorry if you're hungry. But this is, again, another great way to track things, whether it's food sources. Maybe you're in your game, you're having to stay alive, and that means you have to hunt, daily or in a game session. And so having these pieces of premium meat might represent food, units of food for your team or for your person. And again, they're just really cool to put your hands on. This is a painted resin piece, and it's just immediately identifiable. Okay, the next one is a premium blue cloth bundle. We have these in a couple different colors, and more of those are coming in the lineup here, but these all have a similar look and feel other than the color, and they're nice. They're an easily identifiable kind of stack of fabrics with this gray, I guess it's a rope that is holding them together. So they're great. Sometimes you need to track different types of fabrics, so that having different colors is helpful for that. Okay, the next one is a premium fur bundle. So again, this is another commodity thing. Fur is used a lot in many genres of board games. So this is an easy identifiable stack that you can use for players to track fur. And again, it feels really good in the hand. It doesn't weigh a ton. It's a resin piece, but it's very tangible. It's very nice to grab onto. The texture is great. Okay, the next one is a little more scary. This is our premium uranium rod. So perfect in maybe a war game, maybe global powers potentially defending and attacking nuclear sources, power plants. There's a lot of uses for this. And it has the symbol on the front side and nothing on the back. I think it's about as tall as the 17 millimeter meeple as well. Just to take a quick break real quick, if you aren't familiar with the Game Crafter, we are a print-on-demand board game company. We help people turn ideas into real board games, and there's no minimum order size. So if you've ever wanted to make your own board game, you can actually do that right through thegamecrafter.com. You can download templates that we have for card games and board games and tarot decks, that kind of stuff. And you're able to use our game editor and upload your own artwork and choose from over 2,750 different board game pieces and parts. And then you can add those to your game. You can design packaging. And it's just a really cool way to turn an idea into a real game. In the past, if you wanted to make a board game, you would have to make them with a what's called a long run manufacturer, and you'd need to make 1,000 units of that game. Really expensive, and what are you going to do with 1,000 copies of your game? So we let you just make one game, or you can make one deck of cards. So because we have that as a service, we also need board game pieces to make those games. So the Game Crafter carries over 2,750 different types of board game pieces. And if you just are looking to upgrade your games that you already own with cool pieces, this is super useful for that. You can buy any of the pieces in our shop in any quantity. There's no minimums, and it's super easy to do. So if you're interested in our board game pieces, you can go to that parts URL there. If you want to learn how to make your own game, you can go to the start URL that's listed there. So I'm going to jump back into the different types of board game pieces that we carry and keep going with the premium line of parts. I have about 30 more I'm going to go through tonight on this live stream. Okay, the next one is a premium barrel. This piece is highly detailed and probably one of my top 5 parts in the shop that I like personally. I like to use it as a point of interest type of thing in a dungeon, and maybe you pair it with a premium crate and maybe some other elements, for instance, like this axe. So if my character is going down a hallway, gets to a room, I open the door and I look to my left and there's some orcs, and I look to my right and there's a pile of goodies over in the other corner. It makes it interesting to me as a player. So these kinds of things are really attractive to me. This barrel has kind of a ribbing down the middle of it, and you can see all the individual slats in the barrel as well as on the top. It's a really gorgeous piece. The next one will probably be popular. This is a premium campfire, and it looks really good. It's got a bunch of stones at the base. Let's see if I can hold it. Bunch of stones at the base, and then there's the flame that sticks up. Let me see if I can get closer. So it's really sharp, and you instantly know what it is, which is what a great board game piece really is, right? You don't want to have to question what the thing is. So there's the premium fire. And again, this one's probably about as tall. It's about as tall as a 17 millimeter meeple. Okay, moving to the next one. This is a premium copper ingot. This is metallic. It weighs quite a bit. I'd say it weighs at least as much, probably a little more than a standard D6 die, something like of this size. I think actually it weighs probably 1.5 times what this die weighs. So these are great. We have them in a couple different types. Earlier I showed you, let's see, I showed you this. This was the gold ingot. You can kind of tell the difference in shape. And this one's a little thinner. It's more of a thinner ingot versus the gold one, but same material. They both weigh quite a bit. So this particular one is the premium copper ingot. And a lot of people like this for terraforming Mars. It's a premium piece, right? But it's gorgeous. Mythic Revolt card game. Awesome. I am very glad to hear that you're going to order a game from us. You know, I don't know if people realize it, but we have about 50 staff, and we make hundreds, if not thousands, of games every week that we ship out around the world. So you are in good company. We make everything from independent game designers games when they just want to make one copy of something. We work with the U.S. government in various ways, making games, universities, school districts, you know, a lot of professional game designers who use us for prototypes, as well as publishing companies. And we work with everybody in the gamut, the biggest publishers on the planet to the smallest first-time publishers. So it really brings us a lot of joy because we enjoy designing games and making them, and we love the fact that we can help other people turn ideas into real games. And it's kind of like we see them go out into the world and they're almost like our kids. So it's kind of exciting. It's exciting to see what happens to them in the market as well. Okay, let's move to the next one. Premium Gold Nuggets. So this is I believe this is a resin piece. No, I guess it is metal. It's kind of a lighter metal. It's not like the ingots, which are more substantial, a little more weight on them. But it is shiny, and it is obvious what it is. The minute you set it down, let me tell you this, if that was sitting, you know, in a dungeon somewhere, your characters would be fighting to get to it because it's so obvious. That's awesome, Mythic. That's really, I mean, that's who when we started the business 14 years ago, you were exactly the person that we're building the business around. And so, you know, mainly because like my business partner and our CEO, JT Smith, he always was designing games, but he never had an easy way to print them and make them real. And while some people really enjoy the process of making prototypes with scissors and glue and printers and all that, he really doesn't. He enjoys the designing aspect and not the, you know, the craft part of it. So, but there are people out there that like, you know, making prototypes from scratch, and they just buy parts from us or other materials that they can't, you know, get on the ready. And so, you know, however we can help, we're happy to do that. But I'm really glad to hear that we're going to be making your game and helping you make it real, you know. Okay, next thing, we're going to move to the premium grain sack. Now, I think I showed you earlier, I showed you kind of a generic one, which was more of a closed bag with a strap on it. Let's see if I can show that a little better. So that one's the generic one. These actually have colors on them. So I'm going to show you a couple other variations of this one, if I can get a better shot. And this is a resin piece, and this feels amazing. The texture on it is just so on point, and really works well. Really works well for games with commodities, but also, you know, you could use it for environmental stuff, like in different scenarios, whether you're in a city area or a market area in your role-playing game or your miniatures game. There's it's got a lot of utility, I would say. And really, I mean, I know it's a premium grain sack, but it really could represent just about anything that comes in a sack. And just to show you the other variant, this one is the green spice sack. Let's see if I can get it close. So very similar to the grain sack, this one's just green. All right, now we move on to another metal piece. This is the premium iron ingot, and this is just like the copper one that I showed you, except this one has some cool indentations in the top, almost like hit marks, or I guess they'd be irregularities in the iron. So there's the iron one, and this is the bronze one, or copper, sorry. So they're both the same size, similar weight. They're both substantial metal pieces that weigh way more than a D6 die. I think that looks pretty good. So you can go ahead and make that game now about being a blacksmith. We have the ingots for you. Also, I haven't seen any board game designs about blacksmithing specifically, so you may not have much competition if you were to make that game. Premium ore. So this is the next one. This is a metallic looking piece. Obviously, since this is supposed to represent the ore that's just naturally, being mined, it has a very rough finish to it, very irregular, and looks really good. This is kind of like the premium gold that I showed you earlier, how it is very recognizable just because of how shiny it is. And let me throw this in there. So if your game has gold, this is one of those ones where we see a lot of people upgrading existing games with these types of materials. All right, next one, we got this one's a premium red spice. So I'll put all three out here just to show you the difference in color. These all have that same really nice finish I talked about in terms of the texture of the sack. It's got kind of, some of them are a little different. Some of them have lines on it, and some of it kind of have little irregularities on it. Okay, moving along. This one is the white bundle. And this is a very similar design to the blue bundle. So if you're tracking different types of fabric, this one is just the white cloth bundle. And the last one, let's see, I guess I forgot there's two more types of these sacks. So here's kind of a shot in aggregate here of all of them. So if you do need to track multiple colors of spices or different types of commodities that are in a sack or a bag, we do have multiple options for you to do that, and they all look spectacular. Okay, take those away. Let's do another food item. This is an apple. This is a premium apple. It's made out of plastic. It's very shiny. Let's see if I can get it close. Very shiny with a leaf on top. So there's for scale what we've got. It's very light. It's lighter than I would even expect, but yeah, easy to identify. Okay, now we get into some weapons and armor. Well, at least for this one. This is a premium buckler, and it is a resin piece, and it looks really cool. It kind of has a rugged finish to it. It's got what I think is blood on the shield, kind of in the middle, and there's not too much spectacular except the wood back on it. Let's see if I can get closer. But the front is really where it shines. You've got a very realistic looking shield that if it was sitting in a room, a treasure room, or in a hallway of a dungeon for your role-playing game or miniatures game, this thing would look very legit. And what's cool is if you pair it with other stuff like the premium axe, and maybe you have a fallen adventurer who wasn't doing as well as you are, and you're able to loot that person maybe and get some new equipment. So there's some cool options there. It's got a painted metal edging on the shield, and it just looks good. Those are the kind of pieces that I love to see in the games that I play. Now we're going to switch it up and go to the future a little bit. This is a premium energy cell. So it has a yellow kind of middle part to it. And the top has some cool little textures and almost like a couple of buttons. And it could be a really cool, if you have more of an energy game or maybe a sci-fi game where you're trying to look for some energy cores. These kind of things would be cool for representing that. There's nothing really on the bottom. It is about the size. I'd say it's about as tall as the 17 millimeter meeple. It's very light. I think it's either resin or plastic. I think it is. It looks like it's a composite material, so it's more of a plastic. All right, next thing. You got a fish. This premium fish is made of resin and it's pretty light. It's got a lot of detail too, honestly. For a super miniature fish, I wouldn't expect to see all the scales and stuff. I don't know if you'll be able to pick it up in the... See if I can get super close. No. It's probably about as good as I can get. So just for scale. But a lot of detail in this little guy. So good for tracking food, or if maybe you got a game about fishing and you have so many of these going through a stream or being out in the lake or something. These would be really cool for that. We also, in our store, we also have some wood fish, kind of like some meeple-y type stuff, where if you think you need something more economical in larger numbers, you might check that out. I think we have them in at least 1 or 2 colors. Moving on, I got about 15 pieces left to cover for our premium stuff. This one is the premium potion bottle, and this has an impressive amount of detail as well. I'm going to get it a little closer, maybe. Jeez, come on. So it has these ribs on the bottle, and it has a painted cap on it. It looks really good. This one is a purple color. There's nothing to show on the bottom. But it's one of those things, this is instantly identifiable. If you were playing a game and you saw this, you just know that it's a potion bottle. And it's about as tall as a meeple. Next, we have the premium skull. And this skull has some pretty good detail. It's a little resin piece. And you know, it definitely gets the message across. If you see a bunch of these somewhere, you better be looking for the boss or the bad guys. The piece weighs not much. It's very light, but looks great. Has a ton of detail on it. Premium skull. Well, I know you've all been wondering, where are the livestock miniatures? Well, here we go. We got a premium sheep for you. And this is resin. And these are really light. And you want to treat these with, you know, some, I'd say a gentle treatment, because they do, if you drop them or whatever, since they're this lighter resin, you can bust a leg or something. But in general, if you're just playing with them normal, They're a great piece. A ton of detail. And great for game upgrades as well. To go with that sheep, we also have premium cows. To give you an idea here for scale, they're roughly the same size. Again, could be good for game upgrades. Easily identifiable for sure. That is the premium cow. Okay, here's the thing that you want to stumble upon when you're in that dungeon crawler. More so than I think sheep and cows. This is our premium treasure chest. So this one has really nice, has a really nice feel to it. It is a resin piece and looks great on almost all sides. You can kind of see that there's a lot of metallic paint that shows kind of the edges of it, but it just looks really good. There's a lot of detail, and it's instantly recognizable, which we love. That's the back. You can even see there's even little hinges and stuff that are on there. So I don't know how they get so much detail into some of these little parts, but they do a wonderful job. And that's why they're premium, right? We do have other options in our shop that for treasure chests and stuff as well too. Okay, next we have the premium tomb. And this is just like the treasure chest. This thing has a ton of detail on it. And it's pretty instantly recognizable what it is. Maybe you're stealing this off the altar in the dungeon that you're at. Or maybe you have to sneak into somebody's business and grab their accounting books. Board games can come in all themes. That's the super cool thing about it. Sky is the limit. All right, that is the premium tomb. Next we have a premium pumpkin. And it has, it's pretty light. It's definitely a little resin piece. Actually, this might be composite. Let me see. Yeah, this is a composite piece, so I guess it's plastic. And but it has a good feel, immediately identifiable. It has a flat bottom on it, so it does sit well without rolling off the table. And yeah, if you have that Halloween themed game or farming game, this could be a really good game upgrade or piece that you include in your game. And this one is not. It's probably about as. Maybe. I'd say it's about half of a 17 millimeter meeple in height. Okay, I got about 7 or 8 pieces left. These are all premium pieces. Okay, this one is a horse. Now, the horse is just about the same size. Sorry, let me get it up here. Horse is just about the same size as the cow and the sheep. And the horse has kind of lighter feet. So these could all go together if you have the right type of game that needs these types of animals. Or you could just get them independently if you just have a horse game and you want some pieces to represent the horses. Okay, what is next? Oh, here we go. I guess I should have left them all up there. Next one is a pig, premium pig. So there's the pig, there's the horse, there's the cow, and here is the sheep. And you're probably wondering, well, there's something missing. And you're right. Here's the premium dog. Let's see. Yep, premium dog. This guy stands up, looks really good. A lot of detail. Instantly tell he's a dog. No problem there. All right. And that is the end of the animals for now. So for this one, this is a premium heart. And if you are in a dungeon, as we've talked about before, and you're looking for treasure, you probably don't want to find one of these laying around, or lots of those skulls I showed you. But if you're, let's say you're doing a medical game, maybe you could use this heart for something. So it's a cool piece. I don't have many examples of how it's been used, but that's the cool thing. A lot of times when we get board game pieces, we buy some of them just because we think it might help inspire game designers to make new game ideas. And it's kind of like when you have music. Is it the chorus or the beat, or is it the lyrics? Some game designers go look and they'll pick a game. Maybe they'll pick a game idea based on parts that they see, or maybe they see some mechanics in a different game that they think should be mashed up with another game. And so for us, if we can find parts that are generically useful enough for most people, then we're not afraid to buy some and see what people can create with them. So that's the premium heart. Okay, now we've got the premium, and I'm being for real here, premium cinder block. And this is actually made out of stone and feels just like the texture of a real cinder block. We get these from a supplier, and they make all sorts of this kind of stuff, like mini supplies, and they're great. And if you have a construction game, or I've even seen like zombie games where you're trying to build back up like a fort to survive the night, this kind of stuff is awesome. It can represent building materials, as well as, actual repairs being done to a building, or even just what's preventing people from, like, it could be debris, or it could represent like walls of a building. So they're really cool, and it's weird because they really do just feel like picking up a real cinder block. The weight on them is almost nothing though, super light. It's not like the ingots I showed you before. These metal ingots weigh probably, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 times what these weigh. So that is the premium cinder block. Next thing is, I'll just do 2 of these at the same time since they are very similar. So these are more of the premium bundles that we have. And these bundles are just like the other colors I showed you. If I can keep them in my hand. So they have the nice stacks of cloth, and they're wrapped with that gray rope. And we had the white ones, and we had blue ones previously. So they're nice and flat. I lost it. Let's see. They're nice and flat and easy to set on the table. And let's see, throw this in for some scale. So these are great. I'm a big fan of these. Just depends on what you need to track in your game, types of fabric or whatnot. Okay, we're down to our last piece. This is a liquid propane. It's a premium LP gas can, and it looks good. I'm not sure I would always immediately recognize what this is if I was just stepping into a game, but it does look like a liquid propane tank once you give it a little bit of a look. But this one for me isn't quite as easily identifiable, but it works well. So that brings me to the end of our live stream for tonight. This was kind of a test to see if people would be interested and see if the format works well. And I have